Welcome to The Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This week on The Kindness Project, we talk pairing tea, deep questions, and we have part 2 of our interview with Usha Chudasama.
Hi and welcome to another scintillating episode of The Kindness Project. I'm Chris Dames and I'm joined by a girl who thinks that putting bread into tea isn't even a debate worth having. It's Charlotte Dames.
And I'm joined by a man who, from the tone of his voice, clearly doesn't know what scintillating means. It's Chris Dames.
I know that you don't think this is a debate worth having, but let's just talk about this, right? Can you legitimately, if you want to, if it's your bag, and I'm not saying it's mine, get your bread and dip it in your tea?
Yes, but I wouldn't.
Okay. Russ, we are joined by a man who is wearing a very natty black shirt today with a work jumper. It's Russell Dames. What's your opinion on tea and bread?
I wouldn't dip bread.
What would you... I
think bread would go too soggy.
Yeah, you'd end up with bread in your tea.
Right.
As soon as you add liquid to it, it makes a pulp.
How about roll? Would you dip a roll?
No.
Oh, they do the same thing. Not like
It's a waste of a good roll.
Okay, right. Let's see what the line is. Would you dip a biscuit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you dip a hobnob?
Yeah.
Yes.
A hobnob is a biscuit. It's just a different kind of biscuit.
Would you dip a Jaffa cake?
No.
Yes.
Oh, see, there's trouble in paradise. Charlotte says no, Russ says yes. Would you dip a piece of cake?
You'd pour the tea on the cake, but you wouldn't put the cake in the tea.
You'd pour the tea on the cake? Okay.
I'd love to dip your head in a batter.
But people do that. They
Can I dip Russell in my coffee?
but people do that. They put stuff over cake and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's normal.
Yeah.
It doesn't melt.
Yeah.
But if you put bread
How about
in
a
tea.
scone? How are we feeling about a scone in your tea?
No, you pair scones with tea. You don't.
No.
Oh, you pair scones with tea. Oh, you're so middle class. You pair scones with tea.
Scones are quite crumbly.
Yeah, they are. But you know what you do
As soon
with
as you
scones
get
and
them
tea?
wet,
Russ, do you know what you actually do with scones
Leave
and
me
tea?
alone.
pair them.
You pair them. You pair scones with
Leave
tea.
me alone.
Something new in these middle class.
I
tell you.
know. I actually pair my scones with tea. I pair my bread with tea and then I dip it in. I've actually never ever I've never ever personally dipped bread in tea, but I've seen it done. How about this one? How about toast? Because I've seen that happen quite a lot.
I can see how toast could work.
I mean, it could work, but I wouldn't do it.
Ooh.
I wouldn't do it, but I can see how it would work.
It'd hold together.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. Would you pair tea with toast?
Yeah, I prefer a coffee with my toast.
Okay. You'd pair coffee with toast.
Did you guys just leave me alone?
Unofficial question of the podcast is, what food and drink would you pair together?
My name's Charlotte Middle Class Dames.
I pair tea with toast. Oh, I love it. I love that phrase. You pair tea with cake. Or tea with scones. Anyway, let's talk about this week's official question of the podcast that I've actually lost and I'll need to find again. In the meantime, Charlotte's going to tell us what's going on in terms of getting in touch with us.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me to waffle again, and I'm not very good at that.
No, because I pair you with the task every week of letting people know where they can get in touch. That's a tickle! That's a tickle! Don't tickle me in the middle of a podcast recording.
Okay, Twitter, we're at Honor Kindness. Facebook, if you type in the search bar, The Kindness Project. If you email us at honor@thekindnessproject.co.uk, and the website is www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. And we have an Instagram, but I don't know how to access it. So
news to me. I mean, we only found out last week we had an Instagram, but apparently we had. So this week's question of the podcast is a bit more of a thoughtful one. What is something you'd wished you'd figured out sooner? What do you think something you wish you'd figured out sooner is, Russ?
But I think there's a lot of things. I've done a lot of self-discovery lately, as you know. And yeah, there's a lot of things I could have been doing a long time ago, and
But the future's
didn't have
the future,
the
right?
confidence.
I suppose for you it's capability, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're capable of a lot more than you realise.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Charlotte?
No, move on.
Okay, you haven't got one. Yeah, it's quite a deep question, thoughtful question, isn't it? But we'd love to hear what you think. You know, what's the one thing you wished you would have known before now? And yeah, please let us know, and we'll happily share it. Should we move on with the show?
Yes, let's do that.
So last week we talked about the things that people have done to make their experience, particularly in the last year, a bit more of a positive one. And I shared Fiona Heakin's story from Surrey, who during lockdown effectively transcribed all her mum's diaries so that she had this lasting memory of her mum. She now feels like she's got a friend of her mum, of her 17-year-old mum. This week I want to talk about a lady called Priyanka from London, who shared her passion for dancing. So during lockdown, she decided to take her dancing skills to Instagram and started to provide free online dance lessons every Sunday to help people stay at home, keep fit and learn something new. In addition to that, she also raised over £1,000 for NHS charities, and after she stopped the tutorials, she decided to continue posting videos of her dances because her feedback was really positive, so people were really enjoying it, and it also made her happy. And her philosophy on that is, we all need to smile in these tough times. What do you think of that?
That's really nice.
I love it, absolutely love it. And what I also want to share is Jim Hodgkins' story of his work during lockdown. And his lockdown project was to walk every street in St Albans. Jim said, the first Monday the clocks went back in October, I realised I couldn't handle walking the dog round the corner in the dark every night, and he needed a clever way to like the dark and cold and make up for missing an hour's walking every day on my commute. He took a photo of an A to Z and started doing walks, going up the end of every cul-de-sac, all recorded on Strava. Then at home I coloured the walk in on my map. I did some at the weekends in daylight, but most in the dark. There was very little traffic, and if he needed to, he could walk in the road. Altogether, he did 150 miles on 45 walks, ending at the most famous arch in St Albans, the Old Monastery. Heidi, a German wire-hair pointer and a trained therapy dog who visits hospital dementia wards when there isn't a pandemic, walked with Jim down every single street. And I think actually walking during lockdown has been just so people could get out and about, support their mental health and maintain a bit of sanity has been really important over the past year, hasn't it? And a big shout out to my wife Cassie, who's doing a charity fundraiser at the minute to help an amazing charity in Sue's name raise money by walking quite a long way. So well done for Cassie for doing that. We'll carry on mentioning these stories of lockdown heroes getting through the last year in their own unique ways. And next week, I'm going to start with a story about a 51-year-old skateboarder. How about that? So this week we're going to have part 2 of our interview with Usha Chudasama, the creator of Healing Feeling. She's a psychotherapist, NLP master trainer, and she leads workshops in personal development, primarily around parenting. She works with parents and kids. We had a really wide-ranging interview talking about parenting, the support she gives, the books she writes about this subject, and this is part 2 of our interview. Would you like to hear it?
Yep.
You know what? I think raising awareness is key, isn't it? You know, talking about the fact that Yeah.
I think for me, there's two elements. Number one, admitting that we all go through poor mental health moments. You know, no matter how robust or perfect your life looks like, just admitting that, you know what, I have rubbish days as well is key. But also just opening the dialogue is important, isn't it?
And you know, one way that we have opened the dialogue since 2020, we noticed that lots of children, like I said, you know, they've got the Jekyll and Hyde character. Research has showed that, you know, if a child at the age of, say, 10 years old is experiencing a trauma, it takes about another 10 years before they openly admit that they're having some problems and then accept the help. And by that time, it might be a little bit late. You know, they might not be able to experience it. So what we've done is started a Legacy Now campaign. And the Legacy Now campaign is going to continue for years, I think. We'll do different things. But what we started off with was getting parents to download a pack where it's got about 25 different activities for them to do with their children to play.
And that's what you've been doing the videos on, haven't it? Hasn't it? On the individual activities. Do you want to share a couple of those with us?
Do you want to share?
Should we
Not saying anything.
Yeah, so they're all there's all kinds of activities that you can do, and we tried to pick things that were easy for everyone to access. So it could be as simple as going for a walk in nature together, and just.
We're going to walk the dog later. Could do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that enough? All right.
There's a variety of activities.
That's one example.
Yeah.
Another one could be baking cookies together or whatever you like to bake. Do a jigsaw puzzle together, play dress up.
Yeah.
But it's about finding those things that unite you, isn't it? And just sort of doing.
And the whole meditation thing.
Well, we did. It was funny. We invited a meditation expert onto the podcast and tried live meditation on the podcast.
Yeah.
Trying to do it when you're hosting a podcast isn't the way to go. I think you need to free your mind from anything like.
The both of us were trying to touch the keyboard to fix the camera and the mic at once.
I've got to say, Adrian is amazing. So, Adrian, if you are, I know he listens to the podcast. If you are listening to this, we really appreciate
listening.
Going on board. And it says something about our emotional maturity that when he bought a gong, and when he pressed the gong, we started laughing. I mean, that's not the way to do it. Clearly.
Well, they did say that, you know, when you're going to start a meditation, make sure you're not driving. Make sure everything else is turned off. So,
right, that's a really good tip.
Maybe
Don't drive while you're starting
your
a meditation.
faces and just.
That's the problem, because we were doing a video interview. It was when we were doing the in lockdown 1, wasn't it? We were very much trying to focus on recording the podcast while doing it.
You had your eyes closed and were still trying to man the computer. Your face was like.
You weren't
I
helping.
had one eye open, one eye shut. Not a good
Well, that's the fun thing about this, the campaign and doing things together. It means that the adult can bring out their inner child.
Yes.
And you can both have fun together.
Yeah.
Like, that's also the point of it.
You know what? I mean, I'm funny enough, I'm writing a book about the Kindness Project at the minute that I'm hoping is more popular than my pensions book. I don't know.
Sure it will be.
But certainly one of the things that we spoke about, and again, you guys will find it as well. We've got, because we're 100 odd episodes in now, aren't we? We've got this bank of memories of us, like this audio legacy of us just spending time together.
This is
and
brilliant.
talking about all sorts of weird and wonderful and different stuff.
Just
but also something that we can look back nostalgically in 10 years' time and go, you know what, that was it wasn't, you know, the mission of the Kindness Project is to share some positive stories around the world and talk to interesting people. But actually, it's been beneficial for us to build a tighter, closer relationship.
You know what, Chris? That's the same with us. You know, the whole point. My whole intention was, the inspiration was that I want to make the world a better place for her. But actually, it's making the world a better place for other children and other parents. And the legacy that we're leaving is that we want to empower these parents to raise these happy children, so that because they're going to be parents and they're going to run our countries.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to leave that legacy, and it's been fun doing that together.
Yeah.
I suppose one of the interesting things is, I think we've all got challenges and issues with our life. How do you coach a parent to be better with their kids if they're carrying potentially their own emotional baggage?
And that is exactly my USP, if you like. So so at the moment, okay, I'm working with a couple of parents, and he's very the dad is very locked into his own personality, and he said, oh, this has to be this way and it can't be that way, whereas the mom is, look, let's be open. But what it turns out to be is that there are things from their own past which is unresolved. Okay, so to be better parents is about opening up those layers within the parent and helping them to overcome those things, because how can you give something if you don't have it yourself? Yeah, so it's about helping them to go, and it's not about being better parents, about being better people, really, and be more conscious about and more aware of what they're doing with their parenting. So
I suppose part of it is what people's perceptions of what being a dad is, or being a man is, or being a mum, or being a daughter, and sometimes those perceptions aren't particularly helpful, are they?
No.
I think we have got in anything I do and in everything I do, I like to have fun. So apologies for calling your business Feeling Healing. I think you should definitely start a side.
No,
we're not doing that.
Light bulb moment.
Okay,
No.
we're not. But I think sometimes what holds us back. Do you see the way that I went from super sort of silly to super serious? I do that quite a lot. So I think part of the point is being in a situation where actually I've completely lost my thread. That sort of, as a dad, you've got to be serious and you've got to be about money all the time, or you've got to be working all the time, or you've got, why are you just copying me now? Actually, breaking down some of those barriers helps you to do different stuff, right?
Exactly. And you know what? The words healing feeling was actually a testimonial from a parent who said, oh, I've got the healing feeling. And, that also became the name. But anyway, that was past. But going back to now, you're right that, and I know I'm generalizing now, but males tend to be more money oriented, logical in their thinking, and females tend to be big picture, and they think about everything and everybody and multitasking. And these are stereotypes, I know, but it's also I see it all the time. So when it comes to perception, which is I think what you were talking about, when the children tend to trigger off something in them, they need to shift their perception, because the world is changing, generations move on, generational changes are happening, but sometimes parents are stuck in their perception. So part of the coaching is about helping them to change their perception so that they are helping their children. Because children's brains are not developed until the age of 25. So they need their parents to be in line and aligned to their problems.
Charlotte, did you have any
I was just going to ask the last one. How can people find out more about you?
I'll let Lena do that. Go on.
Get the young one in to do the socials. So you can find out more on our website. So we've got healing-feeling.com. And we have a bit more information about the Legacy Now campaign that we mentioned. So like we said, we started off with the spending time together playing, and now we're focusing on managing anxiety in uncertain times.
Yeah.
So you can find out more about that at parentyourhappychild.com. Then, of course, you can follow us on Facebook. The page is called Parent Your Happy Child. Instagram, we're at Parent Your Happy Child. And you can also find us on Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn if you search for Usha Chudasama. That's where you can find us. And we're always updating. Definitely.
And the book's on Amazon as well, right?
The book is on Amazon, exactly.
That's right, yeah.
So it's called Your Happy Child.
Amazing stuff. Thank you. No, actually, I've got one more question. Should we finish with an extra one? I know that it's not on the list.
We've got the time.
We've got the time. So talk to me a bit about how you think the changing role of technology plays a role in potentially being, connecting people, but also what your thoughts around what we need to be cautious of in terms of, if there is anything, in terms of how we engage with technology. Because it, as you say, it's a changing world, isn't it? And kids are growing up in a different world to us, maybe.
I mean, at the moment, with lockdown and everything, technology has been a lifesaver. Let's just say it's been a lifesaver. Look, we are on Zoom and lots of families have got together via Zoom. I had a lockdown birthday. I had people come into my birthday party from Canada, Tanzania, America, parts of the UK. I would never have had that. Yeah. So technology has been great. It's been, I've just talked to somebody on the phone just today. Somebody's in hospital. So, at the moment, you can't actually go and visit. Right?
Yeah, so there's a way of connecting people. It's been vital, hasn't it?
Great. It's been great. I mean, the downside, as far as I'm concerned, is that, and I see a lot of it in terms of mental health, is the bullying that can happen. I think it also stops us from really connecting, because obviously when you're face to face with somebody, you can look at their body language, facial gestures and all that, and somehow that's a little bit lost when it comes to connecting. And I've seen even my nieces, nephews, should I have said that? But anyway, it's happened. They sometimes sit in the same room and they are on their phone talking to each other via the phone. Does that happen with you as well, Chris?
I'm not saying anything.
So
I may have done that before, but
I think we're all guilty of doing that.
Yeah, but I think the connection, I think that we have to be more conscious of how we're connecting online. Because children today are not getting the kind of play that they need, and it's through play that they understand and learn about negotiating, talking, just connecting.
I think the interesting thing as well is, a lot of our work at the moment is done on Zoom. We're sort of going back to the office next week, hopefully, as long as everything's good. But the reality is that what it's shown me is how much I miss actually seeing people face to face. Miss that human connection. Have you felt that?
Yeah, I mean, my lessons are getting a lot harder because we're doing the majority of them online. I'm only in 1 day a week now. Yeah. So.
But is it the academic side or is it the social side you miss?
Both. Yeah. It's really hard to do lessons like that because you can't engage with people and you can't share ideas with people because we're not actually talking, because all of us are not very social people and we we don't like putting our mics or our cameras on, so it's just the teacher sitting there and a bunch of black screens.
I suppose if you're in the class, it's just easy for somebody to go, what do you think? And get involved, or to just turn around to the person to the left of you and make a joke about whatever the teacher said. Well, exactly, but that just those little moments are not there anymore, are they? No, they're not there at the moment. Yeah. But it will be. This too shall pass. I've got to get that in. This too shall pass. We know that we're hopefully by this time next year we're going to be okay. That's the optimist in me looking forward to the future. Lena, I'm conscious that me and your mum have really monopolised this conversation. So
and you're going to keep, because I have a lesson to
all right. So Charlotte's going to a lesson, so she's off.
See ya.
Lovely to meet you.
Bye.
So help me understand a little bit about how you help your mum with the business and what it's like to work with family.
Yeah.
Well, I help.
Be honest, Lena.
Well, I help a lot on the more of the side of like marketing. So I do like all the social media posts and things like that. And then behind the scenes will be like planning what we want to do. So like this Legacy Now campaign we're doing. We launched an online course back in the first lockdown, which was basically the book, but in an online course form.
Oh, amazing. How did that go?
Along. Yeah, which means that some people prefer that to a book. So we thought we'd give both options. So yeah, just really helping in the background with all the, let's say, techie stuff.
And you're helping the workshops when I run the face-to-face workshops.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just a helper, like Charlotte is for you.
Well, no, actually, I've got to give him credit. Oh, Charlotte is my co-host. My tech guy is Russ.
Okay.
Russell,
He doesn't get enough credit, and he's quite shy. So are you going to say anything, Russ?
Yeah, what do you want me to say?
just I wanted to say thanks for being so amazing.
You're more than welcome.
And do you know what? Without the techie people like Russell and Lena, I tell you, I would not. I find it really hard to get on and do things.
100%.
So that's where like working with family, like it's fun in a way because you're like, you're sharing a lot of things in your day. The tricky bit is just like making sure the tech works, and I have to like teach mum the tech. And
like recently, I had a new phone, and she was helping me out with that. Just simply
Gotcha.
That could be challenging, but yeah.
How are the Facebook Lives going down?
Yeah, they're going great. We've got one today, actually. We're doing them every Friday.
5:30.
And right now we're talking about anxiety and how to manage it in uncertain times.
Yeah.
So we've had loads of questions come through, so we're happy to answer anything. And we've even had people then contact mum afterwards and kind of inquire about parent coaching. So I think it's getting through and we're getting the message across. So we just want to keep on doing that and build our audience, really, a bit like what you're doing.
100%. All right, thank you so much for joining us on the Kindness Project. We've really enjoyed speaking to you. Have a lovely day. Good luck with the Facebook Live, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Chris. Honestly, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks so much for having us.
So that was Usha. What do you think?
It was good.
She's a bit of a legend. And a big shout out to Usha for coming on the podcast as a parent-daughter team, because thanks to Usha's daughter for coming on as well. It was great to meet both of you, wasn't it?
Yep. 'Tis the end. Oh my God, that one hurt.
'Tis the end. Okay. Well, the end of another podcast, my friends, is never the end, because we've always got a
The
little
end
bit.
is always the beginning of something entirely new.
The beginning of the end, where we answer last week's question this week. And last week's question was about dancing, and it was what song do you love to dance to the most, and what is your go-to dance move? So Sam Chilton was the first to answer. Her song was I Think We're Alone Now. Now, Russ, I know you did I'm Too Sexy when we recently did a karaoke session. Just give us a rating out of 10 of the songs that come up.
I'm a fan of Belinda Carlisle.
Well, that's not Belinda Carlisle, because Belinda Carlisle was Heaven Is a Place on Earth.
So who sang I Think We're Alone Now?
I'll only tell you if you give me a little rendition. That's
just Google it later, Russ.
So Tiffany did Belinda Carlisle, and she's famous in the 80s for just dancing around shopping centres, mate.
Yeah.
So that was all good. And we're getting a little dance from Cassie, just who's wandered into the room. Dave Forsythe said he will dance to pretty much any party classic. Cassie Dames says Somebody Else's Guy, Jocelyn Brown. Phil Fitzgibbon said he's struggling with that one, but he reckons the one that springs to mind the most is Uptown Funk. I mean, that is a classic, isn't it? That is an absolute classic. Johnny Piper has picked one of my favourite songs to dance around to, Jump Around by As a Pay. That comes on at a wedding. That is guaranteed to get me on the dance floor.
Yeah, I like a bit of jump around.
That and What's that song? Oh, I can't remember. It will come to me. And Justin Gaffney, and this is typical of Justin, said Madonna's Hanky Panky from the Dick Tracy movie soundtrack. I was not impressed by that. So thank you for all of those answers. Nobody gave us the robot as their go-to dance move. I thought everybody thought their robot was particularly good, but
So you're not reaching the right part of the audience, are you?
What do you mean? What should I do?
If Crouchy was listening, he'd have the robot.
Yeah, he would. He would. We need Peter Crouch to listen to the podcast, clearly. And on that note, that's it for another episode.
Bye.
See you next time.